Yes, the footy spotlight turning now to the SCG big game for Sydney in particular, up against Fremantle, who was so impressive last week. And Fremantle having a couple of very good ins as they come out onto the ground. We wear purple, we wear white, we are Freo. Show some fight. And with Fife and Main back into that lineup, Jono, they may do just that.
Well, they will. You see Hill there on screen as well. Him, Mzungu and Pearce, they provide the run on the wings. It's so important that they get themselves up and going. And some of their work last week with Sandlands in the middle of the ground was quite outstanding around the stoppages. Johnson, McFarlane, Dawson, there's the strength down the back. Duffield and Spur, they provide the run. Go to the forward line. You see Matty Pavlich there. He's having another great year in Fremantle colours. And once again, Subin will start as the sub, but can provide run when he comes onto the ground.
Yes, and just reiterating, no change for either side, no late changes for either Fremantle or the Sydney Swans, who are now making their way out. Buddy, one of the last to go through the banner, just giving some encouragement there to his younger teammates. But this is a true test for Sydney and their season.
It is. You see LRT going through the banner there, and that's exactly what he's got on the back of his jumper. Couldn't fit the surname on, so just went with the nickname of LRT. But it is a big day and a big afternoon for the Sydney Swans. They need to get a result tonight, and their lineup needs to start at the back end. Richardson, Grundy need to get the job done, but they need support on the ground from Rampy, Smith, Shaw and Malcheski. As soon as the ball hits the deck, they need to be first back to help out there. We always love watching Buddy. Can he produce for Sydney this week? Lloyd, in his first game, will start as a sub.
Yeah, good luck to Lloyd as we check the spotlight. What have you got for us?
Oh, I've got Michael Johnson to start from Fremantle. Last week he played as a +1, and if they can orchestrate that again, he dominates this game. So we'll have the spotlight on that and the Sydney Swans midfield. Look, as a group, they haven't produced yet. Individuals have had their moments in the first 4 rounds of the season, but as a group, can they produce? They need to tonight.
So there we are. Tips very quickly. Who are you going for?
I'm going with Freo to win this game. They are on fire at the moment.
They are. They were last week, so I'm going to be quite silly and go for Sydney. But I just think it could define their season. So stay with us. It's going to be an absolute ripper. And, of course, we've got more footy to come a little bit later on tonight. But right now we're going to head to the SCG. It is Sydney and Fremantle. Conditions look very good there at the ground. So we're looking forward to a very exciting round 5 contest.
Each other on Monday, Easter Monday. That game should be a ripper as well. Toss of the coin, the 2 captains, Matthew Pavlich and Jared McVeigh. Jared McVeigh winning the toss as we head back downstairs to Sydney Premiership captain Barry Hall.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. Well, it was a tough week last week for the Sydney Swans forward line, and it was really about North Melbourne and their backmen really dictating terms to their forwards, particularly in the first half. We're going to have a look at a few numbers now in terms of intercept marks and how easy it was for North Melbourne to dictate terms and have those intercept marks. You see on screen, Thompson and Ferrito took 11 and 10 apiece, and it's going to be much the same again today if they don't play right. McFarlane and Johnson, 10 and 9 last week against Essendon. They were fantastic, both all Australian defenders. But what the Sydney forwards need to do is actually engage them. Don't let them dictate terms. Maybe take them deep and kick some goals on them. Make them defend, not let them roam free, not let them have their possessions easily. Really make them defend like all defenders should. They're good forwards up there. They really need to make these Fremantle defenders defend today.
Spot on, Baz. They've been in really good form, the Fremantle Docker defence. They got a stitching up as a club against Hawthorn 2 weeks ago, but the defence really had no chance to hold back the tide on that one, Lynchy. But last week they were given a little bit more support from the midfield. They were allowed to play their own game.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a real probably rocket they needed against Hawthorn, just to reset, focus on what they do well, make sure they cover what they do poorly. But this is going to be a big game, so young Brandon Jack into the side. He will be an important player because they need to get some outside run as well. We've got a really good midfield contest on the inside. They've got to find something a little extra on the outside.
As expected, Ryan Crowley has gone to Kieran Jack, the skipper, 2 number 15s, and they'll be looking, I think, for their half-back line to do their rebounding, which they've done okay, but they've got to hit targets with their kicks, not just launching long bombs, which end up going back over their head.
The 2 preliminary finalists from last year, head-to-head again. And we're underway here at the SCG. The ball comes hard. Crowley, Mundy, got a little high on Mundy. And Mundy's grabbed himself a free. High on Mundy after he was Subbed out in the second quarter last week with a hit to the head, but good to see he's come up okay.
They had plenty of time to get the midfield back to block this up, force the long kick.
Big long up and under. Taberner turned his back, tried to mark the ball, turning his back on his opponent, couldn't bring it down. Derricks, massive players around this, and Parker hacks it clear to the space. Dawson and Pike, though. Pike not the man you want to kick to necessarily in a one-on-one in space, but he does well here. Holds it up, waits for the cavalry. Mundy sidesteps through some traffic, floats one. Ballantyne under it and almost collected it. Smith just knocked it from him. Rampy is about to get a possession left to behind.
Yeah, taking a little bit high at the other end of the ground. This is going to be really interesting and entertaining, hopefully. Buddy Franklin with the whole forward 50 to himself. They're going to turn this into a major athletic event.
Oh,
but not without kicks or handballs.
He thought that Malcheski was free to run, but it didn't work. Mzungu could have gone for goal, goes to the all-time great for Fremantle, Matthew Pavlich, to line up and have a crack at the first goal of the afternoon.
Well, that gives a little insight, I think, Lynchy, as to where they are at as a group. Yep. The Sydney Swans second-guessing each other. They're going to work. You're going to see a response, but you still have to be able to.
And we spoke about their quality through the midfield, but one of the things we've noticed over the last few years is their run-off halfback's been so good and so positive. That was just, as you said, there wasn't a lot of confidence and continuity between the teammates.
Picked that goal 7 this year from directly out. Fist, yeah, he loves it. Fremantle first blood.
A disappointing start from a Sydney point of view. Really encouraging start. So the free kick that caused the forward 50 entry to start with, and then there's really bad turnover. So on this occasion, saw Mzungu, just a nice little pass. We haven't seen a lot of those sort of passes from the Sydney Swans. Fremantle Dockers lower their eyes beautifully to hit up really strong targets. Great kick into the breeze.
Pushing in. Starting man-on-man in the forward line for the Sydney Swans, which has been a little bit different to what they've done over the last couple of weeks. In fact, it's 7v7 there at the present time.
And once this ball's bounced, you would expect a few of them will shoot away and leave the space for Franklin one-on-one if they can get it in there. But Mundy gets the clearance, bounces it to half-forward, straight through a few hands. Grundy, Richards, Smith.
Back to you.
Kennedy coming off a 33 possession game last week in the loss to North Melbourne. He hasn't been letting them down. To Jack in the middle, and now they go long. It's Pike instead in the one-on-one, and it works against Dawson.
Well, Buddy Franklin is working really hard. You wouldn't have seen him contribute there, but there he comes in the bottom of the screen now. But he was up on the half-back flank. He's dragging McFarlane away, and they're clearly pushing Pike forward as a tall marking option.
Well, McFarlane was virtually best on ground last week. Don't tell me Lance Franklin's going to be the highest paid dummy we've ever seen in footy. Just take his man out. Pike from 50. And he misses to the near side.
It's an important role that Pike plays as well. You're saying as that second tall forward, which he did extremely well for the most part of last year. Obviously had the great support from Mundy as the first ruck option. They just need to get some support in the middle of the ground to allow Pike to spend mainly a lot of his time forward.
Spur to Johnson. Swans have the numbers on the outer side. It might work though for Fremantle. It rolls out of play. They get a ball in.
Throw it in.
So Richards is deepest. He's going with Pavlich, the captain of the Fremantle Dockers.
You saw the hand over there beautifully on screen. McFarlane handed over to allow Johnson to go up on Franklin when he was high. Johnson will drop out of this contest to be the loose man in defence.
McGlenn wants to keep this alive. Franklin is running for him inside. Couldn't get it to him.
And Grundy on Matt Taberner, who was pretty impressive last week, Lynchy, in his game for the Fremantle Dockers. He's got good hands. He was robbed of a couple, I thought, with a couple of hands being chopped, but looks like a player of the future.
An exciting player up against a player that's been in really good touch over recent seasons. Just wasn't real flash last week.
Pike with a couple to beat here. Dawson flips it to the boundary deliberately, and the Sutcliffe was there to make it look perfect. To Neil. To the wing. Pavlich comes down. Malcheski drops in front of the Pav.
So Buddy across half back now. He's just looking to get away from his opponent. as a starting point.
Slow entry, though. You can see Mike Pike waving to get that ball in quickly.
Good
That's
ball,
a good
Pearce.
turnaround.
Yep, Daniel Pearce to De Boer to Pavlich, and he bounces. He's about to kick it where he'd like to be, somewhere at half forward. Couldn't find a kick, so went with the handball. Rampy cuts it off, flicks it wide. Good contest at the moment. Derek's a little fumble. They jump into him. Bird, Mazungu, but Teddy Richards in the spot waiting for it, and they can reload.
And that's exactly why Pav didn't kick first time 2 minutes ago, was because Richards and also Franklin were there.
Jetta's first chance to get and go. Plenty of space ahead. Who does he want as the target? Didn't want to kick, and he bounces it to McLean. And he was good enough. He parted the seas, got through. Sandilands, who's been in good form. Hot contest at the moment. Clancy Pearce gets it up. And Lance Franklin makes a tackle. The ball up on the wing.
Once again, a couple of poor handballs resulted in a turnover. Both players, Lewis and McGlynn, could have gone long to Pike, who once again was pushing forward. A golden hair tapped that one.
Hill on the run, had to get it away. Taberner again, got in the hole. Gee, that's high on Jack. Kieran Jack.
It's good work from Taberner, actually. He straight lined that ball and went straight at it.
2 goals last week for Taberner, as Alistair Lynch and Gerard told you. Was impressive and might have a spot for a while on that side.
Well, that's twice now from Mike Pike. He was lucky he got away with one in the forward pocket earlier. He's got to do better than that.
Clancy Pearce, just his second game of the year.
Play on. Play on.
Sandilands the target, half forward, slap of the arms, free kick.
Well, Tom Derrick's had the opportunity there to get in front and take the ball in his own hands, but a little bit intimidated by the size of his opponent.
Good one-on-one that, Pavlich and Richards. Richards just got a fist in, as he so often does.
It was an enormous effort from Teddy Richards up against one of the premier forwards in the competition. One-on-one contest deep. Didn't give away the free kick, but still got that left arm in to spoil. Fantastic defensive work.
Cunningham rolls it away. Mike Pike couldn't quite run back onto it. Didn't bounce kindly. And McGlynn's gone down behind play.
Not surprised, Wayne. He's been holding and scragging and should be giving away free kicks against Nat Fife, but he hasn't been pinged yet. He's got inside his head. Just needs to be a little bit more careful at so close to goal if he's going to give away a free kick.
So that was a Nat Fife retaliation.
No doubt.
And he did beat Brent Harvey last week. McGlynn did a great job on him. Franklin's first chance, he doesn't go at it. He waits back and leaves the Pike one-on-one. He eludes them both, ball in.
So just a bit of little bit of holding and a little bit of a push. Not a lot in that, to be honest.
Clark does some ruck work. Hanbury, he's having a lean time of it. McGlynn bumped out of it. Hill, slick hands. Dawson, not normally a kicker from defence, and blazes away. Richards, good juggler.
Once again, Mike Pike lucky not to get pinged for hands in the back. He's just got to have a bit of a look at that's crept into his game.
And so do the umpires.
Malcheski, long over Franklin's head.
Although that would be a deliberate, long deliberate. Won't be paid though. Good positioning kick.
And we all know there's been a softening in the one-on-one marking contest, but the hands in the back is a non-negotiable. It's a clear-cut rule. Once you place the hands in the back in a marking contest or a push in that ruck contest, it is a free kick.
Clark, front spot. Pike right with him, knocks it down. Fife, hammered just as he collects it. Sydney Swans fans want ball. They don't get that. Parker, Hanbury, Main. Thrown after, and good to see him back.
Well, the Dockers got one extra up at this clearance. Swans have got a floater just sweeping across the half-back in Nick Smith.
No, missing that week with the ankle problem. Back into play. Fife also back into the lineup after suspension. Got it up to Mundy. Sandilands one-on-one. Good grab.
Great grab. Oh, not a great handball.
Well, Hill shouldn't have caught for it, really. Rampy back to Sandilands, who mops up that little mess to Pavlich. Slick hands, Pearce, Valentine. No one's forward for a long kick. Mundy, and he doesn't want to kick long. Obviously, why? Main, arm knock, free kick.
Still outnumbered 50 metres from the ball. Got to go lateral.
Oh, Duffield.
And he could explode, lob this right in the goal square.
Just need Sandilands to still get back to the top of the goal square.
We've got Pavlich in the pocket, so you can expect he will lead towards the goal square.
Sutcliffe pokes that.
Look at this for an opportunity.
So Rampy cuts it off. They're streaming in space. Good collect in the end by Jack. Gave it up. Bird doesn't know where to go. Pumps it long. Goal square. Race on. Bouncing ball. Sutcliffe got there. Dragged down McGlynn. Fantastic contest. No prior opportunity. Won't be ball. Can't be ball. Ball up.
He's got the bad bounce. Needed the end over end bounce, but just hit the green and spun backwards. Not good for the Sydney Swans. Great for the Fremantle defenders.
Blood rule, Sydney.
Blood rule, as you can hear.
Malcheski coming off the ground. How the rotation's going, Baz? I see it's pretty even at 10 apiece.
Yeah, it's pretty even down here, Jared, but you can generally see in the first 5 minutes of games generally what sides are trying to do. They've just got the message 15 minutes ago from the coach. You see Fremantle want to go in long and deep to one-on-one into Pavlich, and Sandilands has been anchored down there, so they think they've got an advantage one-on-one.
And the ball up, and a good spot for a ball up for Sydney here. Mundy to Mzungu, out of trouble, might be temporary. Taken to the boundary cleverly by Taberner. That was his out.
I'm interested in to see just how John Longmire handles his captain, Kieran Jack. He's got a few possessions already today, but he's being tagged by Crowley. Kieran Jack cut his teeth as a tagger, so he's clearly, if he wants to break that, he's in a good position to be able to put him onto a hill or put him onto a 5-4 Mundy.
Fife got that kick. Smith read it well. Valentine corrals him, holds him up.
Yeah, I reckon he's spot on, Jared, because they need Kieran Jack. You know he's hard at the ball, but his outside work as well, his finishing work to hit targets inside 50 is critical. He just hasn't had that sort of space over the last few weeks.
Rampy, Cunningham, Shaw. Here they go with the run again. Laidler, who kicked a couple of goals running off half-back last week, short to Jetta.
Well, they've pushed Jack now to full forward. I'd act really quickly if I was in his position, just simply so you gain control of the matchups. At the moment, Ross has got the matchup he wants.
Pearce, short. Grundy read that. It was to Pavlich's direction, but Grundy made it third man in. Richards slung, got a handball. Smith and Rampy. And Rampy gets the handball to Shaw. Thought about Laidler, ignores him, goes wider, and that's out on the full. McGlynn couldn't get there in time to touch it out.
And Jared, that's a huge win for Freo to have Kieran Jack lined up at full forward. I'm sure the Fremantle Dockers coaching staff will be fairly happy with that situation. Gets him away from the ball. Obviously, he still can do some damage at full forward, but if Sydney are to win, they need Kieran Jack on the ball and playing well.
Well, Pav's kicked a goal, but his man Ted Richards has been superb so far for the Swans.
Brandon Jack, good pluck.
Appeals, rejected.
Kennedy turns into trouble in the form of Clancy Pearce. Good hands. Brandon Jack, here's the run. Bird put him under pressure, though. Had a couple waiting for the quick hands. Dawson, Daniel Pearce, one-on-one. Pavlich, Grundy. Grundy got a hand in, jumped on him. Ted Richards again, superb. Bounces away. Lewis Roberts-Thompson leads long. That's ignored. Goes to Shaw, to Jetta.
They're away.
Longer than LRT. Goes to Cunningham on the run. Gathers. Thought about taking on Johnson. Franklin to the pocket. And that'll help McFarlane.
Just struggling with the skills at the present time. Turnovers, handballing to poor options, bad kicking like that at the present time. Work rate, I'm sure John Longmire would be thrilled with. And I think he'd just be happy at three-quarter time to say, righto, we've got the work rate where we need it to be for the rest of the game. Let's just tidy up a few execution errors.
Now Chesky, Hill cuts it off to Fife. Valentine's got a couple to beat. Rampy, one of them. Got a fist away. Rampy back in, kept his feet, shrugged a couple. Hands it back to Laidler, all the way back to Shaw.
Yeah, great vision.
So McVeigh held up.
These are the critical possessions here. This short pass probably, and then the inside 50.
Drives it long, hoping for Parker. Spur got a fist in. Hill to the ball. Clark wrapped up. Grundy, good tackle. He dumped him into the deck. Crowd enjoyed that. Brandon Jack. Daniel Pearce, nice turn. Spur bangs it wide. Now they've got a 2-on-1 here, Fremantle. Just off the bench is Neal. Main's seen him, and he can run. Not a lot to go to again. So he holds it up.
That's it, because they're still playing that extra man in defence. So the Swans have a floater across halfback as well.
Taberner tucked away.
Well, the Swans defence holding up pretty well. At the moment, it seems to me that Buddy Franklin's getting sucked too far up the ground. Lynchy, the way they're getting at the Swans, they're not flying through the middle of the ground. And Buddy then is almost being, he needs about a 100-metre distance, like a 30-metre 30-metre run up and a 60-metre kick, etc., to just get some space between him and his man.
5. Taberner got hands on it. Bladler just knocked an arm. Rampy tucked up against the boundary, wanted to keep it alive. Hanbury puts it up long. Duffield in the hole.
You're right. The way they're going inside 50, they tend to kick the ball too long at the moment. And Swans at their very best go that 35-metre pass just inside 50, have the long shots.
Clancy Pearce. Mundy. Sutcliffe. Mzungu almost worked to perfection. Off hands, Taberner can't break away with it. Malcheski strong, attacked it hard, took the ball and the body at once. Derricks went backwards for some strange reason. Smith, Grundy, he slips, Mzungu back in. Grundy in trouble, knocks it out. Laidler, Neal about to pounce, just caught Smith a little high. Play on to advantage. Shaw long, one-on-one. Brandon Jack, Lee Spur knocked it down. Sutcliffe picked up by Kennedy, caught, dumped. Duffield back inboard. Hill, McFarlane. Low scoring contest, but a high quality contest right now. Enjoyable for everyone to watch. Mzungu picks it up, bangs it long inside 50. It's wide, too wide for Pav. And it rolls out of play. We'll get a ball in. Barry Hall.
Yeah, you spoke about Buddy Franklin pushing too far up the ground. Matthew Pavlich is also doing the same. They just haven't adjusted to the SCG and the size of it at this stage. They're obviously used to playing on big grounds, but Buddy's going to have to get used to playing on a small ground. You need to anchor yourself back inside 50, because from centre wing, you can clearly get it inside 50 pretty deep.
Pavlich. Mundy outside of the boot. This will bounce. And Grundy knew it was going to bounce toward the goal.
Just to reinforce what Baz is talking about, how especially Buddy's getting way out the field, you've got to remember the Sydney Swans have only trained on this ground for 1 week. They haven't been near the SCG. It's been on the outer ovals for a long time because of the baseball and cricket. So Buddy Franklin hasn't actually been on this park too much at all.
It is strange. They are not back here at the SCG either for over a month. So they play here today and then don't see it for another 5 weeks. Pearce pounces on it on the wing. Just pushed on the kick. Taberner. Crowd into this game though. Good crowd in here at the SCG. Jetta was out of play.
On a positive note, Dwayne, for the Swans, I reckon you could put 7 or 8 really poor skill executions on a grab or on a 30-second piece. And John Longmire would say we're making these mistakes and yet we're still just 6 points behind. They could well have been 3 or 4 goals behind at the moment.
Holding the jumper, Aaron Sandilands.
Sandilands free. Talked about his form, having arguably one of the best seasons of his career, certainly injury-free, which is fantastic to see.
Move it on.
Squeezes the kick to Pavlich. Good hands. Maybe just beyond his range, though.
It got the good matchup. Rampy had the drop off. There was a handover from Ted Richards. So Pav would be really happy with that matchup. So he'll be continually trying to get that changeover.
He looks like he's going to have a crack at it, but those darting eyes tell you maybe he'll just hit the top of the square. Very deliberate approach. From 56, gets plenty on it. Pike.
Well, it was good work by Pike in the finish. I know it's basics and the simple things in footy, but he could have been sucked up onto his man. He elected to stay back, and luckily he did.
And that's where there's a really strong train of thought in the coaching ranks about that kick actually going 15 metres short rather than to the goal line, where it is an easy spoil over. And so basically hand over possession. Obviously Pav was quite confident he'd get the journey.
Richards wide. Lewis Roberts-Thompson, who hasn't seen it yet, won't see it here. Pavlich too strong and definitely too far out to score this time.
The target this time.
And on the lead, he's got Fife as well. Overshoots them both. Ted Richards read that superbly, as he always seems to do, to Kennedy.
He's putting on a clinic, Ted Richards, at the moment.
Sure. And Teddy will get another. Lance Franklin.
Luke McFarlane will be very happy. Buddy can get all his possessions he wants that far from goal.
He's coming off for a spell as well, Franklin.
And Luke Parker, just a little message to Buddy to just have a look inside, mate. I'm here, so there's a quicker way to home. And it is an issue this ground. When you start going around the boundary line from that half-back flank, it's just about as far as full-back.
Yeah, it's a long way from goal.
Mundy, very circular this ground, very round oval, if you know what I mean, at Easter. It's not egg-shaped. Franklin.
Still outnumbered deep again.
And he knows he's too far out to score. But he probably will hit that spot 15 minutes out, 15 metres out from goal, you think.
Go around him.
Trouble. Strange option.
Trouble.
Handed to Clark. Gave to McFarlane. No one home. If it bounces kindly, Ted Richards or Grundy will gobble it up and reload the Swans to Rampy. Goes to Smith instead. Ignores Rampy as well and goes wider to Bird on the overlap. Lewis Roberts-Thompson on the march. Got it. Good build up this. But this kick's the problem. No one to go to.
Mundy's behind the ball.
McVeigh.
Even this one. Unsure whether the long one's the right one. Now, they can pull the trigger on a 35-metre pass to the leading forward.
McGlynn goes to the pocket. Way wide. Out of bounds on the full. They've had their chances, Sydney. They're still in it.
And Buddy Franklin has just coasted up there, and he needs to have a look at that. I know he's trying to get off the ground and have a rest, but his man McFarlane was good enough to do the same kilometres as him and get back and make an option. Buddy was still coasting on the 50-metre line when he should have been up there presenting as an opportunity. Then he didn't pick McFarlane up.
McFarlane long towards Pavlich. Richards' fist wins out. McGlynn knocks it back again. Bird. And we'll get a ball in.
And look at Buddy Franklin there. We see 55 metres top of the goal square. He's outnumbered. He had to go shorter, so he was discouraged because he was outnumbered. The only probably option was wide into the forward 50.
Any option was probably better than the option he took, though, which was strange. Jetta, here's an option. An opportunity to go to the pocket to Franklin on the move. McFarlane wearing him like a glove.
Well, it is windy out there. That's the only excuse you can come up with for the Sydney Swans and their poor disposal at the present time. It's quite blustery down on the ground, Barry.
Yeah, it is. It is a bit blowy, but you've seen McFarlane then. He went stride for stride with Buddy Franklin, and we see the wind there. It's blowing quite a bit, but let's hope that dies down a little bit.
Well, the bad news for Sydney is they're kicking with it ever so slightly in this opening term, and they're trailing. Pike. Mundy. Stays in play. Smith. Wrapped up. Main. Good strong tackle. Laidler.
We got the extra play. This will be good work by the Dockers if they can hold it in, which they can in the end.
Sure. So it opens up again. Drives it long. Franklin on the move. Can't get there. LRT got a hand on it. Knocked it down to Hill. And the space opens up for Fremantle. Went to the middle. Sutcliffe straight through his legs.
High risk.
Good tackle on Parker in the end. Didn't give away the high. Could well have got one. Could be holding the ball there. That didn't look like a handball either. Main. Fife dragged down. Can't break free with it. Fife again gives to Main. Can't get rid of it. McVeigh. Shaw. Grundy. Fantastic contest for a one-goal game. Richards.
Ted's up to 11. This will be a PB for a quarter.
LRT on the march.
Well, Lewis is working hard to give him the outlet.
So Jetta to Malcheski over his head. Parker. McVeigh. Malcheski kickable by his standards. There's that breeze. Pushed it long. Got it. First of the afternoon for Sydney.
Well, they can't get a goal from inside 50, Alistair, so you might as well try for one from outside 50. Fatigue is really a major factor for both sides at the present time. There's a lot of hands on hips. There's a lot of poor errors like that particular one from Lewis Jetta. But in the end, it took the big boot of Malcheski, who's kicked a lot more important goals than that one for the Sydney Swans. But right now, they'd be really relieved to get one.
And that's something we haven't seen a lot of. Yeah, the likes of Malcheski, Shaw, attacking that forward 50 arc and kicking the long bombs. Even, you know, Kennedy and Jack, the midfielders, actually been able to generate a shot at goal. See Bird come off the ground. So he's in some discomfort, chatting with the doctor at the moment.
So a slight momentum shift here. The Swans trying to hunt down the lead for quarter time. Ballantyne, almost his first chance. Got one to the back of the head. Finally hacked clear. Fife to Daniel Pearce. Good one-on-one. Pavlich, Richards. Both had a piece of it. Ballantyne, the crumb. That's his bread and butter. Oof. And when he's good, there's none better.
Good response by the Dockers. Win a centre clearance, get the ball forward. I thought that Ballantyne was very stiff not to get the free kick initially. And then it just came down to who was going to push down and crumb the best. And it was Hayden Ballantyne, just got away from Jeremy Laidler.
Perfect forward 50 crumbing goal from Hayden Ballantyne. Hit big Pav on the chest. Great position. We know he kicks goals around the body, either side of the foot. He's an exciting player, and quick response on the back of a clearance and a good contest from Matthew Pavlich. Hayden Ballantyne did the rest.
1 minute from quarter time. Pike, Clark. Pike against Clark with the palm down. Kennedy with the clearance. Parker. He can go long now. Gets plenty on it. Lewis Roberts-Thompson getting back. Dawson into his back a little, but he did play for it, LRT. Dawson, well, that was a team out of play, deliberate. Well worked. Good spot for a ball in there for Sydney. For an instant reply to the instant reply. Fist from Clark. Johnson. Fife. Good chase on. Rampy and Taberner. Rampy kept his feet, was held. 20 seconds and counting. Shaw. Franklin lurking for him on the big left. You'd think he'd bomb it long. He doesn't. He goes with an accurate pass. The chaos ball. It works. McGlynn, sidestep, bends it around. Just enough. There is the instant reply to the instant reply.
Great goal. We saw Reece Shaw just waiting for Buddy Franklin to get involved, and to get his teammate, high-profile teammate, into the game, just gave off the handball, and it was the chaos ball forward. One that hits the deck, and you're forced to play on. Something has to happen out of this, and McGlynn just backed himself with his pace and just dragged the ball around beautifully. And I think they've had enough of the ball to be really encouraged, I think, the Sydney Swans in the first quarter. Although they trail, they've well and truly been in the contest, and just a bit of efficiency for those critical passes inside forward 50, and I think they'd be in front. But a very good contest first up.
Well, it's as you would expect for second versus fourth from last year. Had a different start to the season, these two teams, but right now they are turning on a finals-like contest here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. Quarter time, good crowd in. Bright sunshine fading through an afternoon here at the SCG, and we're getting some entertainment. John Longmire and Ross Lyon about to address the troops. The Fremantle Dockers lead at quarter time 2-2-14 for the Swans. 2-1-13. Contest don't get much closer than this. 1 point the margin at quarter time here at the Sydney Cricket Ground as we head downstairs to Barry Hall.
Yeah, thanks, Dwayne. Well, Stewie, it's a pretty tough, hard contest at the moment. How'd you see it?
Yeah, tight game. We thought we started well with our effort, but I think our skill execution let us down a little bit. But certainly those options are there, so we're just encouraging the players. They've got to keep going, looking inside, trying to change it up a little bit.
So that was the main message at quarter time?
Yeah, the defenders stood up. They're under the pump early, so good improvement from last week. And the mids, just a bit concerned. A couple of mids got a bit more ball, so we put on our mids to match them this quarter.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Stuart Dew downstairs, Barry Hall, and right now it's the kind of contest we hoped we were going to get when we came here. Even though there's been a few skill errors, It's a good tight contest with neither team prepared to give much away.
Yeah, here's a package of those skill errors, Dwayne. A lot of second guessing and a lot of lack of flow, lack of fluency from the Swans. Be sure, just a couple of kicks were only a metre away, but it's a professional sport now. You're expected to hit targets. A little fumble there, and yet they're still in the game, and that's what John Longmire and his coaching panel will be saying. Just get this right. Second guess there, not quite consistent with what they have tended to do throughout the last couple of years. Drop mark from Benny McGlynn, been a good player, but still just a couple of errors. A wide kick going nowhere in that particular occasion. Fremantle Dockers, Lynchy, they look as if they've just got one further gear to go up at the present time, whereas I'm not sure the Swans have.
No, well, that's right. The effort's right for the Swans. It's that critical kick where they're missing the targets. As you said, it's un-Swans-like. Look like they're playing with a little bit of anxiety that we know we've got to get into the game. We know we've got to hit targets. They're just not confident to pull the trigger on those purposeful kicks inside 50 yet. So I think that needs to lift from a Swans point of view. Fremantle, they're down 21 disposals in the first term, but also their efficiency by foot is poor. They're going at 55% at the moment, but obviously they managed to stay in the contest and lead at quarter time by a point.
Kieran Jack, 3 possessions. Crowley doing a pretty good job there. He's only had 1 himself, though. He's an underrated player, Ryan Crowley. We look at how many possessions his man has had, but he also is a star midfielder in his own right. He hasn't had the ball himself.
Second term underway. Sandlands, nice palm. Fife on the move, pumps it inside 50, just couldn't complete the deal with a mark from Valentino Pavlich.
Well, he's been a star, Rampy. Thank goodness for their half-back line and their full-back line. Lynchy for the Sydney Swans. They've kept him in it so far.
He's really grown since being upgraded last year. Started last year as a rookie, and he sets this one up beautifully. McLean, Franklin, this'll work. Lance.
Oh, he shanked it.
Misses. And the crowd all got up as one.
Well, it was going to be a major finish to a great move by the Sydney Swans. Unfortunately, he had a lot of time to think about it. Probably overcooked it just a little bit.
Well, he did, and his opponent, Luke McFarlane, just dropped off the back thinking, oh, no. See a little bit of a smile from Ryan Crowley, but, yeah, that's a great build-up from Sydney off half-back, but got to finish those.
Five caught by the leg. Umpire said that was above the knee, so not a trip. Malcheski wide. McVeigh over his head. And we'll get a ball in. Just got a little bit too excited, perhaps, Lance Franklin.
First goal at the SCG as a Sydney Swan. He was just ready to flush that one straight through about 60 metres, but near broke the post.
He didn't kick one here last week against North Melbourne. Was held goalless by Scott Thompson. So it's still the duck that Lance Franklin has to break. Mundy tried to squeeze a handball through. McLean wrapped up. Good tackle, dragged down, and the umpire will be forced to ball it up. In fact, for Lance Franklin, Fremantle is the team that he has most difficulty kicking goals against. He's got the smallest number against Fremantle.
Well, that'd make him consistent with most forwards, I reckon. They're such a powerful defence. They've also dropped a spare back down there, sitting right underneath his feet at the present time.
Yeah, that's right. It makes it really hard. If they do get this clearance, they look to pull the trigger quickly. They're just going to go to where they're outnumbered. Here they go.
Free kick. Jetta plays on to advantage. Franklin puts it to the deck. Or kickable almost by his standards. Tried to be unselfish. Kennedy. And it works.
Did work. Or was it that dart pass to Buddy Franklin again, making something happen? Now, Kennedy, we know he's a goal-kicking midfielder, one of the elite midfielders in the competition. Hasn't kicked a goal this year, so I think he is another one of those players. Although his disposals hasn't dropped so far this season, he needs to impact the scoreboard.
Well, it's a great kick. I think we're underselling the kick. It was no doubt something they would have talked about when they gave themselves a little bit of 360 feedback throughout the week. Got to be team first and foremost, and that's exactly what he delivered.
And he gets the crowd into it all of a sudden. For the first time today, the Sydney Swans are in front.
So all of a sudden, Lynch, the Swans are putting good execution together with good work rate, and it's starting to pay dividends on the scoreboard. Should have had a couple of goals. This one was a bit of a missed marking opportunity, but smart kick to the top.
Absolutely, and that's what I like from Jetta. He took on the pass, tried to hit Buddy. That didn't work, but just the quick ball movement, the short pass, ended up working in the end with a goal to Kennedy.
back in the middle.
So it's Big Pav. He's pushed himself up for this ruck contest.
Yeah, no messing around now. He knew that he had to get back in. He's going to have to go again here. Umpire with a poor bounce, so they'll just toss it in the air. The umpires, Jeff Dalglish, Andrew Mitchell, Jacob Mollison today. And umpire Mollison tosses it up.
Hasn't done a lot of midfield work this year, Pav, but after that one for one.
And lace out as well around the body.
So Taberner gets his first chance here.
He could kick this.
Doesn't like his chances, puts it to that spot, 15 metres out. Ballantyne, Crowley, who's kicked a few goals this year despite doing some great tagging jobs. Shaw hacks it clear. Lewis Roberts-Thompson. Well, this will work superbly. Bird runs onto it. Franklin's on the run. Gets there in front of McFarlane. Went for the chest mark. McFarlane too good. Spur, the spear. Finds Johnson. They've got the runners on the open side. He just pokes it up. Dangerous.
Kick.
Hanbury. Lewis Roberts-Thompson. Kennedy.
Could go all the way.
Malcheski. Shaw. Goes with the short. Franklin, one. Oh, he's almost thrown off as he tried to get the second grab. Might still work. Franklin tucked into the pocket. Spur comes at him. Half holds him. Franklin holds him off. Knocks it back to Bird. The cavalry arrives for Fremantle. They try and hold it in. Not successful. Bird got the kick away to McGlynn. Knocked away. Malcheski. Stand start. Bends it around. Misses.
The rule number one in AFL right now, Lynchy, is do not even think about trying to fake for a free kick. They are not going to pay them. Buddy's got buffeted a couple of times, but he was half looking for the free kick.
Yep.
Had another go at it out in the pocket. They're just not going to pay them.
But I like the way they're actually attacking Buddy with those passes now. I mean, he hasn't been able to mark the first two have come at him, but their purpose, the way they're actually going inside 50 has changed since the first quarter, and no doubt very different to what we've seen in past weeks.
Oh, Hill turned Cunningham inside out. Rampy was wise to it. Derricks not quite as dexterous as he would have liked to have been. Main tried to shovel it out. Neal jumped on. He throws it out. Crowd on this side of the ground saw it. The umpire blindsided. De Boer not the required 15, so Sandlands knocks it to the deck. Jack ducked his head, went through some traffic. Handballs backwards though. Teddy Richards. Shaw.
That was actually brilliant from Jack. He was about to release the 2-metre handball, read it that someone was going to ping his recipient, so then he held it and still got the ball back to Ted Richards.
Derricks. They've lifted in this second term, the Swans. In fact, from about the 20-minute mark of the opening term. High towards half forward. Good attack from Parker. Good second effort. Sutcliffe wrapped him up, took him out.
Let's have a look at Kieran Jack. Now, his immediate response is to give the first handball, but he sees he's about to get pinged. And that is the difference between an average midfielder and a top-quality one, being able to make harsh decisions under all sorts of pressure.
Derricks, he felt for Clark there. Hanbury dumped by Clark. Daniel Pearce, Nat Fife. Parker rolls it out. Kennedy with another clearance, a bounce pass.
You couldn't recognise this midfield work rate for the Sydney Swans to the one we saw last week. Lynchy, right now they're taking it up to the Dockers. They've tidied up their disposals a little bit. Yep. Still obviously very tight and could go either way, but they'd be thrilled with their work rate.
And it's unrecognisable offensively and defensively as well. Every time Fremantle get their hand on the ball, there's numbers all over them and this sort of tackling pressure.
Daniel Pearce got it from Mzungu, kicks it towards Pavlich on the wing. Main also flies. Ball hits the deck. Neal rolls it forward. A 2-on-2. Grundy gets there ahead of Taberner. Beautiful play. Handball not so good. Richards left it behind. Fife brought down by Grundy. And the Swans should get out of this with a ball up.
Very lucky there. The pressure on the young player saw him unload it, but they got out of jail there in the finish, the Swans.
Drive, guys, it's a drive.
Umpire comes in a few metres to toss it in the air.
Oh, that's near below the knees.
Neal. Daniel Pearce didn't keep it in.
Thank you.
Fremantle, they're trailing. Let's have a look at this, what I was talking about, the attack at the ball, and they're 34 disposals down for the game. And there's Zach Clark just hit his direct opponent there in Smith below the knees. We see that one a bit paid.
Yeah, no problems if you keep your feet and run into their legs, but if you roll into their legs on the way to the deck, you're in trouble. Fife bangs it to a good spot. Ballantyne might leap here. He used his body. Laidler dumps it. Now trouble. Ballantyne tried to shuffle it out. Laidler again. Rampy. Lewis Roberts-Thompson. No one to go too long. Jetta tried the clever knock on. Daniel Pearce feeds it back. Bang! Spur caught. Got it up just in time. Clancy Pearce. This game's gone up another gear. Mountcheski feeds a handball out wide. He had Brandon Jack on the run. Daniel Pearce caught by the jumper. An enormous amount of time. De Boer crunched. This is finals like. The two teams that met in last year's prelim at Subi going head to head here. McGlynn dragged down. He can't bust it free. Bird waiting for it. They will get there inside 50. Mountcheski wide. Franklin's on the move. Not quite. McFarlane right with him again. And Franklin searches for the try.
That was a try.
Gone. Gee, he was jumped on. That was unlucky.
But I think you were right to start with, Dwayne. He was looking for the boundary line. That's what the umpire interpreted as well.
Sure, you're not allowed to just jump on a bloke's back, though.
No, there used to be an in the back.
Jumper, but yeah, that must have changed that rule.
They've changed a few over time. I'm not sure they've changed that one. Ballantyne pops the pass.
That's it. That was some of the best footy I've seen this year. 30 seconds of so much pressure, both sides getting involved. It deserved a better finish.
And this has been a good match-up too. Pavlich and Richards. Richards searches for the line. Pavlich helps him across.
You're right. The intensity's fantastic, but is the try. Just missed the mark. Good contest from McFarlane. Was it in the back?
You're not allowed to jump on a bloke's back.
I don't think he actually jumped on his back.
Clark stands up, bends it to full forward. Fife. And he's been jumped on and taken through for a behind.
For a majority of the season, we've seen this intensity from Fremantle, but we haven't seen it from the Sydney Swans. They've actually raised the bar even from quarter time. I think Ross Lyon will be a little frustrated and a little concerned that the way they're using the ball when they do actually get it, but they're well down on possessions for the game and only still going by foot at 57%.
See, Laidler hit Rampy on the run, and he hit Spur on the run. Zach Dawson.
Oh, he missed his hand.
Duffield. Johnson.
And they're hunting him too without the footy, Lynchy. They're 35 to 26 in tackles. So when they haven't got the footy, the Swans are on today.
Well, spot on. That's what we're talking about pre-game. That elite midfield that we've seen at the Sydney Swans for a decade. You know, back when you were playing as well, defensively they're so good. The defensive pressure is probably the #1 focus, and then the offense comes as everything else flows.
Sutcliffe. Splendid 40-metre pass to Johnson, and now he thought about going wide to Spur, ignored him. Straight down the middle, Pavlich.
And Teddy Richards won't be too unhappy if Pavlich is getting most of his kicks across that half-forward line. Must be a bad footy out there.
That doesn't help their percentage at all.
I think fatigue's starting to
no doubt.
Get a few of them. They've been running non-stop. Duffield runs non-stop, kicks it long. Sandilands, the big man, goes up, got hands to it. Mountcheski, front and centre. He read it, but then dropped it. Smith feeds it back. Trouble. Mountcheski, Pike, not the normal man you want kicking it outside 50. Pearce, caught. McGlynn wraps him up. Bird. The intensity is fantastic. Kennedy feeds it back. Parker. Lewis Roberts-Thompson keeps his feet, but there's no one long for him. Hands it up. Knocked out by Duffield. McVeigh looks up.
Empty goal square.
So Bird can roll it all the way home if he wants to. He goes back. He knows he can't kick that far. Now he has McGlynn on the run. Hits him, and he misses it. And it hits the deck. Still a chance. Roberts-Thompson caught down by Johnson. Sandilands, Neal all the way back, and Fremantle can reload. No one getting a chance to take a breath out there right now. No wonder they're spent.
And no one's getting a chance to steady on their kicks. They're missing targets time and time again.
So Sydney Swans ball. Pressure on the Sutcliffe kick. And Jetta, well, he's within range. We see him bomb these at this end from about 65 pre-game every time we come here. So he can kick this. Doesn't want to. Gee, that was clever. McVeigh.
Gee, I'm not sure who the defensive coach is in the Fremantle box. But Ross Lyon will be having a little chat to him about reinforcing a few principles at half-time. That was very loose checking. It was like everyone was back in the zone, waiting for the shot at goal, and no awareness of free players in that forward 50 arc.
If you just joined us, the biggest lead of the afternoon to either side has been 7 points. So this kick is for the biggest lead of the afternoon, and that 7-point lead was a Fremantle lead in the opening term. And he squeezed that in by a coat of paint, and they lead by 2 goals.
Well, just what the skipper needed. A pretty solid goal under the gaze of the whole footy world, the Sydney Swans right now, and so the leaders will be under the microscope specifically. Would have been a lot of talking, and a lot of response was expected from everybody, and that's not the kick you want coming out of the half-back line. So all of a sudden now a few skill errors for the Dockers starting to cost them on the scoreboard.
You said there's been some skill errors with both teams. The Sydney side have gone in 5 times. They've scored on 4 occasions, kicking 2 goals too, whereas at the other end, Freo 5 times they've gone in for just the 1 behind. So it's not working for Fremantle at this stage. And contested possessions also going in front of the Swans.
Yeah, this quarter in particular, that number Lynchy shows that they were really have taken it up another notch. 24-16 in 1 quarter. It's a big discrepancy.
And handball receives 21-14 for the game for this quarter as well. So they actually run into support as well.
Parker bounces it to half forward, but he missed his target. Sutcliffe. Bouncing ball, Rampy.
Jeez, he's been good today. He has been an absolute star today, Rampy.
Played 23 games last year as well, so he's risen as a player almost from nowhere in the last 18 months. Franklin tries the shrug. Bang! Oh. Jack rode that bump to perfection. To Shaw, not 15, forced to play on. Back to Jack, who spent it before he'd earned it. Jumped on, but not in the back, so the umpire will ball it up.
Well, he was playing like human pinball there, just bouncing off players willy-nilly, executing the handball, though, once again under pressure.
Sandilands. Kennedy, the clearance specialist, almost gets it away. Probably can't count that one. 15 players around this ball. Neal tries to break free with it. Thrown out by Hanbury to Smith. Puts it back into the congestion. Neal to Sandilands. But open space. And it's all about the bounce. It bounces kindly for Bird. He's got a helper. Grundy, Fife too clever. Smothered the handball, and now Fremantle can reload. To
what
Sutcliffe.
a win by Fife.
All the way back instead. Johnson tries to shimmy on LRT. Couldn't sell him anything. High towards the outer side. Fife again.
Class act. Double foot jump straight up. Strong mark overhead.
Well, LRT has missed a lot of footy recently with injury. He's still turning like a major shipping container or thereabouts, something of that nature, but he's doing a good job on Michael Johnson right now.
He's always been a very important player for the structure of the Sydney Swans.
Long to the hot spot. Pav couldn't get there, and mark taken by Cunningham, who's been a goal scorer for the Swans this year on a couple of occasions. Didn't kick one last week, but 3 the week before against Adelaide. He finds McGlynn.
You're pushing the boundaries.
Hanbury. Smith. Everybody can take a breath for a change.
Move it on, play on.
It's got Grundy long. Needs to be a good kick to hit him, and it clean misses him. Mundy.
Is that flat footy again?
Kick a ball by Pavlich's standards. He drives it long, and just on the line, getting back with the fist away was Rampy again.
He needed to.
He's been everywhere.
He was flying back. He has been very good. Had 13 disposals, but he needed to get back for that one. Really poor kick out of defensive 50.
Play on.
To himself.
It's a better kick.
Kennedy. Good composure there after dropping it. Hanbury on the run. Franklin. One-on-one with McFarlane again. McFarlane gives him a free this time. McGlynn thought about playing on.
Put his hand up, which was the right thing to do.
Franklin wants to bang it. Tough ball for LRT. Hard bounce to Reed. Dawson. Johnson. Daniel Pearce. Pavlich. Pearce made it impossible for him. Richards half hurl, played for it, won it.
Just didn't give his forward a chance at all, that kick off half back.
Keep your eye on Buddy Franklin, Lynchy. You played in his position for many years, but at the moment he's leading and then almost stopping, waiting for McFarlane to catch up rather than going through with a lead.
Fife, good pluck. Franklin stayed down there, which was a surprise.
Doesn't go up too often, Dwayne, in those big contests, but I think he's a little bit intimidated because McFarlane's got him for pace.
And McFarlane can take a good mark, and that would have taken McFarlane for that contest. Still alive here for the Swans at half forward. Smith dumped into the deck. Jack. Missed Laidler. Forced to go and get it. Franklin wants the left, you know that. Handballs it back. Grundy. So Cunningham can get and go. Nice release kick to give him space. Shaw. They've found their mojo, the Swans. 11-point margin. Smith. Coming off a horror show here against North Melbourne last week, the Sydney Swans. Haven't won a game here at the SCG yet this year.
Thank you.
Cunningham. Only won one game for the season, of course, and that was against the Crows in Adelaide. Jetta. Inside 50, Bird. Fingertips, Sutcliffe. Mzungu, Mundy. Again, the congestion, doesn't know where to go. Rolls it wide, ball in.
Jetta just overcooked that kick a little bit, but the work rate to actually get to the mark was outstanding. He'd run an enormous amount of distance, pumping out the 2 and 3 lead. So the work rate, again, was a great sign from a Swans point of view that Jetta's getting on his bike.
Derek's almost with the palm down. Duffield. Handball smothered. Jetta. Couldn't quite make something out of nothing there. Daniel Pearce, but it's dangerous. Brandon Jack hands it up. Malcheski into the roadblock. Grundy. Cunningham. Richards. Laidler can get and go. Shaw, likewise, can run. He's got Franklin short, and he decides to hold it up. Franklin should lead into the space. Does. Held up.
You've got to have Pike come forward too, because he's the one that can take the big mark in a pack.
And he's the one that can draw the ball long. So Buddy's not your sort of top of the goal square sort of operator. He just tried to get every metre out of that one. I think he's going to back himself to tee this one up.
Wind around on the left here and bring the house down. This would bring the crowd to life. He knows how big this moment is. Yet to kick one at the SCG. We're 21 minutes into the second term. Half-time's looming. And this is his biggest moment in a Swans jumper yet. Opens up the angle. Strikes it well. It's not long enough. To the square. Thumped away. And that's that kick that Alistair Lynch was talking about. You either go 15 metres out from goal, because if you go to the goal line, it gets knocked through with ease and it's the other team's ball. Ooh. Spur. Again, not a lot to go to. He was bumped after the kick, the umpire said.
Just marginally late, and there's a real let-off for Freo. That looked like that could have been turned over again.
Fife to Neil. Now he's got Main just off the bench. Main, he can stroll in and kick it. From 50, went for the pass option. He must be rusty. Must have sat down for a while. Jetta on the run. Swans on the reload. Jack does the step. Shrugs Dawson onto the left. Puts it long. McGlynn territory knocked away. He kept his feet. Can he keep it alive? No. Content to see it out.
Jeez, he's a hard worker, McGlynn. Ben McGlynn, what a pickup he has been. Got him from the Hawks. Been a star. Missed out on their premiership. One of the really unfortunate elements of that victory, but his work rate, Lynchy, is top class.
Yeah, one of the real leaders in the midfield as far as his work rate's concerned.
Hanbury flicks it up. Shrug from Cunningham works. Kennedy caught by the ear. That'll be a free.
In fact, if you don't work really hard in the midfield at Sydney, you just don't get in.
And what does Kennedy want to do? Franklin's at the top of the square. He puts it in his direction. Pike's down there as well. Pike got a hand on it. Bird off hands. hands, part of the seas. Lewis Roberts-Thompson nails a big one.
And now they're getting a bit of spread on the scoreboard, which justifies their extra work. At the moment, they've had the ball inside their forward 50 about 67% of the time. This quarter, they've worked the hardest for mine, Lynchy, in this term, and they've tidied up their skills. Their work rate was really good in the first quarter, the Swans, and this is a better right. You can read that, you can understand that, you know where the ball's coming. All they needed was a contest, get it to the ground, they get the goal.
Certainly a very handy player, LRT, and it was a bit of crumbing work there, but I don't mind them going along to the top of the goal square if it's Mike Pike, because he makes a strong contest. We saw in recent years he was one of the more dominant forward 50 contested mark players in the comp. So you can go to him, and once the ball hits the ground at ground level, the crumbing forwards come into their own.
Swans have kicked the last 4 goals of this game, and they are hot right now. Parker, McVeigh wobbles one past LRT. Pike from the goal square goes off the deck.
Not too much.
Still the biggest lead of the game.
Just under siege, a little at the moment. 10 scoring shots to 6. And this quarter, inside 50s 11-8 in favour of the Swans.
Sandilands got hands on it, couldn't bring it down. Pavlich comes back to half, back to lend a hand. His man Richards got it, throws it away. 1 minute 45 left to half time, and it's been the Sydney Swans quarter. Fremantle has not kicked a goal in this term. Derricks has done well against Sandilands so far. Pavlich locks it up with his legs. McGlynn extracts it. They're jumped on. These two teams met twice last year for a Fremantle victory and a Fremantle moral victory. Fremantle by 25 points in the prelim, and they came from 27 down to draw here in the corresponding game last year.
Kennedy much better at stoppages in this term, the Swans. Wasn't a great kick.
Overcooks Pike. McFarlane. So the Dockers are going to have to come from behind here at half-time again, as they did last year, to level the scores on the siren. Franklin having a sit down, and you think that's where it'll stay for the last 1 minute and 14.
Baz, I've noticed the Dockers seem to be holding a player back when the opposition is shooting for goal, and they're running him on to give that extra player running into space when they get a clearance from their kick-ins.
Yeah, it's not a bad tactic, because most players, they set up the zone and probably switch off a little bit. If you give that quick break and that guy comes off the bench, it's a pretty good tactic.
McVeigh to goal. Just thumped through. Lucky.
Spot on there, Jared. We're seeing more and more of that. Yeah. Players interchanging when there's a shot at goal, so for behind. I'm sure they're not running straight on the ground, and they're just running into space when they're
turnover. Can you believe it? With 50 seconds left, straight to McGlynn. Ooh. Taking the game on from fullback with less than a minute to go, when the Swans have all the momentum.
The coach's box vision will be interesting, I would have thought. And as the discussion might be at half-time, that is a costly turnover.
3 seconds.
And McGlynn knows how important this is. He's already kicked one. Having another outstanding day at his office. He pulls it a little. He pulls it too much.
He just chipped that one.
He did.
Just absolutely chipped it.
It's the only thing he's done wrong today, though. And Johnson needs to be a little bit careful about crossing the line when he kicks out. He's like a fast bowler. He's taking it just that little bit too close.
When there's
no gain.
No need.
Well, it really would have been a great way to finish the quarter if the Sydney Swans had the McGlynn kick gone through. Nevertheless, they'd be thrilled, given the amount of mistakes they made in the first quarter. It all started to unfold for them and come together to take that lead into half-time.
Fantastic quarter for the Sydney Swans. They came from 27 points down to draw the game here last year, Fremantle. They're going to have to come from 21 down today, at least, to draw or to steal the points in what is a critical battle for both teams. Both teams staying out on the ground. They know how important this is. The Sydney Swans, amazingly, if they lose today, could drop to as low as 16th on the AFL ladder. That's how important it is for the Swans, who started their season 1-3. And for Fremantle, a win today could see them rise to second on the AFL ladder. So it's a massive game for them as well. Good crowd in here. And half-time, 37-16. The Sydney Swans in control, but it's a tight one, and it's been an absolute superb contest to watch. Barry Hall downstairs will get an interview shortly. We'll be back here with a full wrap of the opening half shortly.
Yes, 21 points is the margin at half-time, but it could so easily have been 26 had McGlynn kicked accurately in front of goal. But a great second quarter by the Sydney Swans. They kicked the last 4 goals of that term, and boy, have they thrown the challenge down now to the Fremantle Dockers. Of course, the other big news today was the victory by Collingwood over a hapless North Melbourne by 35 points. We'll have the fallout from that game. Plus, check out this one from the SCG right after the break.